am Marilyn Geller. I am the Chief Executive of the Celiac Disease Foundation, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here today. I would like to thank our sponsors, Amgen, Takeda, Provention Bio, Imugenics, and Glutenostics, and our host, Baker Donaldson, for making today possible. I would also like to thank our outstanding staff, both Celiac Disease Foundation and the Baker Donaldson team, for putting together this terrific day. And of course, I would like to thank all of you for coming from far and wide, including our people who walked the hill yesterday, for standing up and committing to advocacy on behalf of the celiac community. Today, you're going to hear from congressional representatives, physicians, researchers, the FDA, and our expert advocacy council to help you shape your story so that your voice can be heard. But before that, I'd like to share a little history of how we got to today. So, the Celiac Disease Foundation was founded in 1990, and our mission is to accelerate diagnosis, treatments, and a cure for celiac disease. In 1998, there was what's known as the serology workshop. And at this workshop, the myth, the legend goes, that our founder, Elaine Monarch, gathered researchers from around the world, and she locked them for 3 days in a hotel in Marina del Rey, California, and told them that they could not come out unless there was the genesis for a blood test for celiac disease. And it actually happened. So because of Elaine and her foresight, we all are able to be diagnosed more easily and more quickly than before. In 2004, the NIH held a consensus conference on celiac disease, and the Celiac Disease Foundation served on the planning committee. Before then, our federal government recognized celiac disease as a rare pediatric disorder that you may or may not grow out of. It was at this conference in 2004 that it was finally recognized that it's a common genetic autoimmune disorder, in fact, one of the most common in the world. And as we know, unfortunately, you cannot grow out of it. From that 2004 conference, there was the discussion that there needed to be a gluten-free labeling rule. Well, that was 2004, and as we know, that rule didn't come into being until 2014. So in the interim, the foundation served and helped organize a lobbying organization called the American Celiac Disease Alliance. That organization disbanded in 2014 when the rule came into being. And so since then, the Celiac Disease Foundation has taken up the mantle for advocacy. We launched in 2016 the nation's first public patient registry called iCureCeliac. And today we have more than 7,500 patients in there who have contributed their data. And because of that, we have been able to help recruit for 14 clinical trials. Can I ask who in the room might be enrolled in iCureCeliac by a raise of hands? For those of you who have not, you can go to celiac.org right on the homepage, and you'll be able to join the registry. It is incredibly important. I will tell you that your data is secure, and that the information that we provide to researchers does not have your demographic information. There's no names, there's nobody contacting you. But without those mass numbers and collecting that data, it's really difficult to determine what comes next for celiac disease. And finally, in April of this year, last year, it's now 2020, I was invited to testify before the House Appropriations Subcommittee and speak for the first time about the seriousness of celiac disease. So, what happened next? That testimony happened because a gentleman named Ben Nicholson approached the foundation in July of 2018. And Ben had had experience being a staffer on the Hill. And so he said, I will make certain that this happens. And in October of 2018, he introduced me to the majority and the minority clerks of the House Appropriations Committee, who we met with to talk about what language could look like to direct NIH to study celiac disease. And then in April, I came back and I testified. But before that, we asked everyone to share their stories. And in less than 2 weeks, we received more than 800 stories from people actually around the world, not even within our country, asking that our Congress direct funds to study celiac disease research, because as we all know, it's not a diet, it's not a fad, it's a serious autoimmune disease. So from there, met again with the clerks, and we put together language that was approved and put into the budget request, what they call draft report language. And that language was actually put into action when the budget resolution was signed in December of last year. So what does that look like? And I can, you have it in your packets, but I'll go ahead and read it because it's a big, big moment, because it's the first time that the federal government has ever directed NIH to study celiac disease, and that language goes like this. The agreement encourages NIH to devote sufficient focused research to the study of celiac disease, including the autoimmune causation underpinning the affliction. The agreement urges NIAID, that's the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, to better coordinate existing research and focus new research efforts towards causation and ultimately a cure of this disease. NIAID is encouraged to coordinate with other institutes and centers as appropriate and to submit its plan for coordination and execution of this research to the committees no later than 90 days after enactment of this act. That's March 18th. So you are all here because today is about helping you find your voice to go back to your home states, to meet with your congressional representatives to make certain that celiac disease becomes and remains a national priority. And then next, in October of last year, we were fortunate enough to secure advocacy services from Baker Donelson. And as you can see, having us all here today, it was the best decision to make. We met with NIAID in December of 2019. And NIAID at that time said, what comes next? Go back to NIDDK and come back to NIAID again in January, and let's work on this report language together that they have to provide to the committee on March 18th. So in the interim, what we also did was we helped support the House bill for Gluten and Medicine Disclosure Act of 2019, and we were able to help send 24,000 emails from you, our audience, our constituents, in support of that bill. And then in December of 2019 was the Senate version of the bill from Senator Blumenthal's office, and to date, you all have sent more than 3,000 emails to your senators in support of that bill. So, yesterday we went to the Hill to make our case about why for 2021 there should be language in the budget again for NIH to provide sufficient funding for the study of celiac disease research. Today we meet. And then what comes next is the Celiac Disease Foundation is hosting what's called a consensus conference on celiac disease. So there has not been one since 2004. This one will be in New York at Columbia University at their Celiac Disease Center. And again, we will take researchers from around the world. We have some today. They will be locked in a room, and they will not be able to come out until they've agreed what the NIH research priorities should be for celiac disease. And then from there, we submit the draft language for fiscal year 2021, and then you and I, we meet every year in person to keep this going, and we talk constantly. Somebody said to me that they've received many emails. You probably receive up to 3 emails from me a week, but you will be receiving many more because our goal is to keep in touch with you so that you can advance our needs, our community needs.